Okay, good evening, everyone. I am going to go ahead and call to order the meeting of the City of Bloomington Council. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Councilmember Kearns,
I'm here.
Councilmember Bolin,
Here.
Councilmember Motney,
Here.
Councilmember Danenberger is absent, Councilmember Becker,
Here.
Councilmember Hendricks.
Here.
Councilmember Ward,
Here.
Councilmember Lee,
Here.
Councilmember Crumpler,
Here.
Mayor Milwamble.
Here. And we're going to move on to recognitions and appointments, and we're going to start with a presentation of City of Bloomington Police Department Police Officers Commission Certificate to Kevin Steck, Corey Voles, and Robert Hilliard upon completion of their probationary period as requested by the Police Department. And I'm going to ask Chief Symington to start with this presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for this opportunity. If I could have Robert Hilliard Chance, please, first. Stand right here. Thank you. Tonight we'll recognize 3 officers who received their commission after completing 16 weeks at the Basic Police Academy here in Illinois, as well as passing the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board test and approximately 18 weeks of in-house and field training. I'll start with Officer Chance Hilliard, who was hired by the Bloomington Police Department on April 18, 2022. He is currently engaged to Aaron Francisco. He has a rescue dog from Calls for Service named Goose. Chance previously worked as a sales representative for Cairo One Wellness Center. He graduated from Marion High School and Illinois Wesleyan University. Chance enjoys going to the gym and spending time with his fiance and dog. He is an active officer who has received a letter of commendation during his time in service. Welcome. Congratulations. Next is Kevin Steck. Officer Kevin Steck was hired by the Bloomington Police Department May 16, 2022. Kevin has been married to his beautiful wife, Emily, of 13 years. She is also here. They have been blessed with a daughter, Dantry, sons, Carter and Matthew. Kevin worked as a special education and English as a second language teacher for 10 years in the Chicagoland area before joining the Bloomington Police Department. He obtained his bachelor's degree from Bethel University in St. Paul, Minnesota, and also a master's degree from Concordia University in Chicago for teaching special education, as well as a second master's degree from North Park University in Chicago for educational leadership from North Park University for educational leadership and administration. He previously volunteered with several homeless shelters in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and at the East Central Regional Juvenile Detention Center there in Lino Lakes, Minnesota. While at the Macon County Law Enforcement Training Center to receive his basic training, he received the Commander's Choice Award. This award is used to recognize one recruit from each academy class for having shown outstanding overall achievement in the categories of academics, firearms, physical fitness, and most notably, leadership. Present you with your commission.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations. Next is Corey Vose. Corey was hired by the Bloomington Police Department August 29th of 2022. He is married to his wife, Cressy, and they are expecting a baby boy. Corey previously worked with the Mount Vernon, Illinois Police Department for approximately 3 years. Corey graduated from Ridgeview High School in Colfax, Illinois, and then attended McMurray College in Jacksonville, where he received a double major in criminal justice and homeland security. Corey's hobbies consist of watching sporting events, primarily baseball. I hope he's a Cubs fan. With his family, and fishing, as well as going to the gun range and grilling. Corey and his wife enjoy watching movies together and going on walks. Corey, I will present you with your commission. Congratulations.
Okay, congratulations to all three of you. Public safety is a cornerstone of any prosperous community, and we're definitely thankful to you for committing to our community in this way, and also thankful to your families and baby to come, I think, one, for also committing, because when you make this commitment, it's not just you, it's your family. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we are going to move on to item B, a presentation of the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, accreditation plaque to Bloomington Police City Department as requested by the Police Department. And Chief Symington is going to introduce the speaker.
Thank you, Mayor. This evening, we're joined by Chief Dan Ryan. He will present the Bloomington Police Department with the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program plaque. Chief Ryan started his law enforcement path in 1995 as an auxiliary deputy in Sangamon County Sheriff's Department. He was hired in 1997 as assistant coordinator of the Police Training with Law Enforcement Advisory Commission. In 1998, he took over the duties at the PTC as the coordinator, where he still serves today. In the winter of 1998, Chief Ryan was selected as a part-time police officer with the Leland Grove Police Department, and in February 1999, he was promoted to a full-time status. Chief Ryan has risen through the ranks at that police department, and he is currently the chief. He is a member of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police for many years and has served as the Education Committee as well as the Training Committee chairperson. I will have him come up and read and present. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll have to update that resume, right? Thank you very much. The three officers that just got sworn in officially, thank you for your service, because in today's world, this is what we need. We need you guys. So thank you very much, and thank you for your support. And also thank you for your time to let me come in before everybody else, and so to be respectful of all your time. All right. I don't really want to read this, but this is such an important step that it really deserves all this being read. So bear with me for just a minute, but what they've done here is the Bloomington Police Department is being reaccredited through the ILEAP program. So again, my name is Dan Ryan. I'm with the Leland Grove Police Department as a chief. I'm the third vice president of the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police. Early in the 21st century, the Illinois chiefs sought a way to help local departments demonstrate and that they achieve the highest standards of policies, procedures. This led us, the Illinois the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police, to create the Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program, or ILEAP. For ILEAP, we partnered with several major organizations in Illinois, such as the Illinois City and County Management Association, the Illinois Criminal Justice Authority, Northwestern University for Center of Public Safety, the Intergovernmental Risk Management Association, and the Illinois Law Enforcement Training and Standards Board, as the others who are all part of this ILEAP Accreditation Council. This is Illinois' accreditation authority for the state of Illinois. Today, I'm here to congratulate Bloomington Police Department on their ILEAP reaccreditation. All departments must undergo reaccreditation every 4 years to ensure departments are in compliance with current standards and best practices. As many of you know, our laws constantly change, and the law enforcement profession continues to evolve along with the policies, procedures, and best practices. Bloomington Police Department was originally accredited in 2019, so this is their first reaccreditation. It is important for us as a statewide association to publicly recognize departments that are doing well and that they embrace the best practices. ILEAP is a program designed to be an administrative bulletproof vest type of program. This administrative armor was designed to reduce the risk and liability, serving as a catalyst to professionalize the industry and soften the blow of lawsuits should one be filed, despite current best practices being followed. The Illinois Law Enforcement Accreditation Program aims to make police organizations better by evaluating policy and procedures against established criteria. Coupling the alignment of policy and written directives against best practices is the process of having those criteria certified by an independent authoritative body or the ILEAP Accreditation Council. This accreditation is significant for your police department, for your university and campus, for your community, and for all of us in Illinois who are pushing for higher levels of police professionalism. Bloomington PD has achieved Tier 1, which means they have met or exceeded 69 important standards. We review your policies and procedures in the context of these standards. We look at 4 areas: administration, training, operations, and personnel. We brought in professional assessors to look at such critical policies as use of force, pursuit, record keeping, and community policing. To achieve accreditation, or in this case, reaccreditation, it's a rigorous process, taking many, many months for a department to demonstrate its compliance with the standards. So congratulations to Chief Jamal Symington and his staff on this accomplishment. Only 61 Illinois agencies in the state have achieved ILEAP accreditation since the program was launched more than 12 years ago. That's about 5% of the entire police departments in the state. So you can be sure you have a professional department that's up to date with policies and procedures. The Illinois Chiefs are very proud of Chief Symington and the Bloomington Police Department for this accomplishment, and we believe that you guys all should be as well. Chief? On behalf of the Illinois Associated Chiefs Police, this reads, this accreditation council verifies the Bloomington Police Department has policies, procedures, and daily routines that achieve the Tier 1 level of Illinois accreditation. This signifies that the department is in compliance with professional standards of modern law enforcement. Reaccredited January 12, 2024, accredited since 2019. Chief, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you wanted to say a few words or don't want to put you on the spot, but this is it's quite the achievement. I mean, 5% amongst the 5% in the whole state of Illinois. That's amazing.
Yes, Mayor, thank you for the opportunity. Certainly, it's an honor and a privilege, and I say that quite often, to serve as your chief of police, and also the men and women that serve with a tremendous amount of courage and dedication to this profession. We try to get it right at each and every time. The community is the benefactor, and we all understand it is quite an honor and a privilege to serve. I do want to give a highlight to Lieutenant James Klesson. Lieutenant Klesson is the accreditation manager. He had a tremendous amount of work, many hours of work to provide all of the standards, the proofs to the assessment team, and many others in the department played a key role into during the process, which allowed us to achieve this accomplishment. So thank you for your support as always, and we appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see. Okay. So no council meeting is complete without a bunch of whereases to be read. So we're going to move on to a proclamation for Community Development Week 2024 as requested by the Administration Department. So, Melissa, I'm going to read this proclamation, and then I'll give you a chance to say a few words. I'm assuming that you'd like to say a few words. Okay, awesome. Whereas the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development implemented the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, program in 1974 for the purpose of providing local governments with the financial resources to assist low and moderate income persons. And whereas the City of Bloomington has utilized CDBG funds for 50 years to provide funding to principally benefit low to moderate income community members. And whereas the CDBG program has made a significant impact on our community through the preservation of affordable housing, public infrastructure improvement investments, funding of critical social services, public park improvements, and upgrades to public facilities. And whereas the City of Bloomington has demonstrated for 50 years a commitment to improving our community through the CDBG program, and whereas the Economic and Community Development Department has demonstrated the capacity to administer the CDBG program to identify, prioritize, and help resolve pressing problems. And whereas the City of Bloomington residents can and are encouraged to participate in the public input process of the 2025 to 2029 CDBG Consolidated Plan between April and August. Now, therefore, I, Mboka Malambwe, Mayor of the City of Bloomington, on behalf of the Bloomington City Council, do hereby proclaim April 1st through the 5th of 2024 as Community Development Week in Bloomington, and urge residents to join in recognizing the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Community Development Block Grant Program. Thank you. And now it's all to you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to highlight what an amazing grants team that we have in the Economic and Community Development Department, and highlight some of the things we've been able to accomplish over the last few years. In program year 2022, we were able to invest over $300,000 to preserve affordable housing, with 9 housing rehabilitation projects completed. We were able to demolish an abandoned property. We were able to spend over $139,000 on public facility and infrastructure improvements, including a sidewalk improvement project completed on the west side. We invested almost $50,000 for job training, fair housing, and community planning activities, and about $74,000 to 6 local nonprofits for public services. In program year 2024, it will be the 50th year that the City of Bloomington has been managing and implementing CDBG programs. For the first 3 years of the 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan, we've invested over $1.5 million in our community to meet the needs of low to moderate income community members. Over 10,000 community members have been served with the funds in the first 3 years of the consolidated plan that we are currently in. We are encouraging everyone to please participate in the planning of the 2025 through 2029 consolidated plan. The resident survey will go live on April 2nd. We are avoiding a particular holiday on the 1st, so we figured it would be good to start on the 2nd. So that will go live on the 2nd. We will be announcing, in partnership with the Town of Normal as well as with the McLean County Regional Planning Commission, different events that we will be holding throughout this participation process. And people can submit surveys online. They can submit them in paper. We'll have them available in our office and in the hub and in other various communities. So please encourage everyone you know to complete that because obviously the more input we get, the more we can help everyone and make sure that everyone is included in the process. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Picture? Anyone? Is anybody taking a picture? Otherwise, it didn't happen.
I'll take a picture.
Yeah, okay, all right, come on. Okay, all right, yes, there we go. Thank you. We're going to move on to item D, proclamation for World Autism Awareness Day as requested by the Human Resources Department. And I believe we have Lindsay here. Okay. Okay, whereas autism spectrum disorder affects about 1 in 36 children, over 5 million Americans live with autism today. It is a developmental disability caused by differences in the brain. People with ASD may behave, communicate, and interact and learn in ways that are different from most other people. Whereas the United States pledged April as Autism Awareness Month, and the United Nations sanctioned World Autism Awareness Day on April 2nd. Whereas the City of Bloomington recognizes the importance of autism awareness and acceptance, the city is demonstrating its commitment to promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion for all. Whereas on April 2nd, 2024, World Autism Awareness Day will commence in Bloomington. Now, therefore, I, Mboka Malambwe, Mayor of the City of Bloomington, on behalf of the Bloomington City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2nd, 2024 as World Autism Awareness Day in the City of Bloomington and urge residents to join in recognizing World Autism Awareness Day. Do you want to say a few words?
Just thank you for the continued support.
Okay, thank you. Short and sweet.
I'm not going to let her get off the hook that easy. Lindsay, do me a favor and just share with the community just some of the things that the organization's doing, and you really are the one that's running point on all of that, so please share.
So for the last year, we have implemented some training for autism in the workplace, and that includes not just autism, but anyone with sensory, sensory issues. And it's more for neurodiversity, and as an organization, we are certified. And we also did first responder training, so police and fire has also got on board with that training, and they have sensory bags and quiet areas and things in their departments and in their vehicles.
Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much for doing that. You sold yourself short. You guys are doing amazing kind of work, so that's fantastic. We really appreciate it. Would you like to come up for the obligatory picture with the mayor? Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, the next item is recognition of board and commission appointments as requested by the administration departments. And do we have that on the screen? Usually it comes up on the screen. There we go.
Would you like me to recognize them?
Yes, please.
We have Crystal Bricker for the Cultural Commission, and Justin Tyrone for the Japanese Sister City Committee.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Let's clap for Crystal and Justin. And I believe Crystal is here. Okay, there you go. All right, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Crystal. Really appreciate your service. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to public comment, right? Okay, do we have public comment?
Yes, we have 2 registered to speak in person, but we did not receive any emailed public comment.
Okay, thank you. Public comment is an opportunity for speakers to provide their views and feedback to the City Council. It is also an opportunity for the City Council to listen and hear diverse points of view. To maximize the impact of public comment and show respect for the expression of all views, speakers should maintain civility and focus on city issues. Speakers must identify themselves for the record, but are not required to give their address. Each speaker is given the floor for 3 minutes, and the council does not respond or engage in debate. Any speaker that engages in threatening or disorderly behavior will be deemed out of order and their time seized. Thank you.
First up, we have Karen Kinsella.
Hello, I'm Karen Kinsella, and I am here tonight to ask the council to please reconsider the location of the homeless camp on Eastview property right next to Home Sweet Home Ministries, and I'm just going to tell you, I'm just going to go into the explanation. On Saturday morning at 7:30 a.m., I got a knock on the door from two people. I opened the door, and it was a man and a woman. The man asked me for money. He did not say please. He said, I need money. I need money to get my car. My car has been towed, and I need $45 to get my car, to pay for my car. Can I please borrow the money? I was shocked. That was very bold, especially so early in the morning. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. And for 5 seconds, he glared at me. We had a 5-second standoff. I wasn't sure what he was going to do. I was glad my dog was barking. I had her there, and my husband was within a couple, like 10 feet. He finally gave up, and they both left. And I can tell you, I felt very threatened and intimidated in my own home on Saturday morning. The lady that was with him had a Huck's bag. That our house is a straight shot from the homeless camp to Huck's to our property. So I'm pretty sure that they came from the homeless camp. So public safety. I have talked to all of you and emailed you quite a bit about public safety and the homeless camp. So I'm just giving you a personal example of what I have experienced. I have another neighbor or another person in the ward who can no longer conduct business at his property because people are wandering from the homeless camp. They're drunk. They are high on drugs or both, wandering onto his property to the point where he can no longer have clients there. Huck's, the convenience store, I will no longer go in there because there's drug sales going on right outside the door. And as I emailed all of you, they no longer sell the Bic wand lighters because they are, I guess, as the management told us, people are coming in and they're cooking their drugs right on the side of the building, which I've witnessed many people acting irrationally. So I am going to ask the council to use reasonable judgment. That area has residential properties, parks, the library is right up the street. Please use reasonable judgment and relocate that homeless camp. I'm not asking for services to stop. I am asking for you to consider moving it to a place that's more appropriate, away from residential property, away from children, our children, myself, my safety, my family, my neighbor, who I believe this gentleman went next door to my 94-year-old neighbor and probably asked her for money too. And he was intimidating. That's my emotional part. My dad told me, use the legal part. This camp is not legal by your definition of the code. There is no permanent water source. That is a violation of the camping.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to have to stop you because you've gone past your time, right?
Have I gone past my time?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
and
3 minutes.
I already emailed you the picture I took
Okay.
at 5 o'clock about the violation for the garbage.
Okay,
So please, let's use reasonable judgment. For public safety, as we see, you're very good at, but I feel very threatened.
Okay.
My neighbors feel threatened. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Next, we have Serena Fish.
Okay.
Not going to like this, but I'm here to speak about exactly the same thing. When you drive the road that goes to the library, and on the left-hand side is the City Public Works Department. Big sign. City employees only, no trespassing. I wish I could put a sign in our neighborhood that says, don't stop here. It's now expanding into property ownership around the area. There is an owner right on the other side of Mission Mart who cannot lease his property because of the tent city. I've spoken before here, the same thing as the lady right before me, that there's a playground across the street, there's a playground on the other side of the Mission Mart, there's a school about 2 blocks away, you're at the bottom of the hill of the library. There are kids going and coming there, and the warmer it gets, the more there's going to be. At the store under the bridge, we had a lady that set up camp, so she's making her new tent city as an expansion. She was extremely aggressive, cursing, yelling, threatening, that we asked her to tone it down, and we finally had to call the police. She actually threatened the police, and they said, no, then you're leaving because you are a detriment. We've had a young lady come in, probably mid-20s. She came to the store wanting to sell her gift cards that people were so kind to give her so she could eat. And instead, she's coming in the store wanting to either sell us the gift card or could she use it to buy stuff, which we don't sell food. We had a young man come into the store. I watched him because he had a big backpack on. And these people, I made it a point of questioning them, and they all came out of the tent city. The first lady was actually kicked out of the tent city by the tent city residents. So that tells you where she was. This young man wanted to use a phone. I saw him on a phone. So I just said, no. And he started, and I'm like, no. We had a person on the side of the building sleeping, moved a bench, slept overnight. I understand, and it's something has got to be done, and I'm finishing, Mayor, because this is now spreading, and it's getting out of hand, and it's way beyond the tent city. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to a public hearing for the fiscal year 2025 proposed budget as requested by the Finance Department. And I'm going to go ahead and call to order the hearing at 6:35 and then turn it over to City Manager Gleason for some introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and to the community. Before I turn the floor over to Scott Rathman, our Finance Director, repetition whenever we're talking about city finances. Again, our fiscal year is May 1 to April 30th. This public hearing is right before the next council meeting of April 8th, that the FY25 budget will come before council. This is one that exhaustive efforts, and rightfully so, by staff in preparing this. And then prepping council in several meetings, several public meetings. We've discussed what this budget is. It's one that we're very proud to present to council next week for adoption. I'm sorry, next council meeting in 2 weeks for adoption. $330 million, one of the largest budgets ever, or the largest budget ever for the city of Bloomington. There's a number of things that are captured in that, nearly $90 million worth of capital projects, about $140 million operating budget. We've talked about the reserves that we have unobligated, some that we've dedicated to future projects. Truly is very, very exciting, and proud to turn the floor over to Scott Rathman. Scott.
Thank you, City Manager Gleason, Mayor, Council, Community. I'll be brief this evening, just a quick recap of some of the totals. But this is the fifth view of the budgetary numbers for this year. City Code requires that we present the proposed budget to Council by March 15th. We did that on March 11th. And then we're also required to hold a public hearing, and that is what we'll be having tonight. Next slide, please. So just to recap, I've used these terms in the last few presentations as a budget emphasizing public safety, roads and sidewalks, dependable infrastructure, clean water being an example, and community well-being, our parks and rec and cultural arts. So a total budget of $331.7 million. General fund, our largest fund of 29 funds of 143.1. We've explained the variances in prior presentations. I would encourage the council or the community to review those presentations to see some details, but we'll go over those again at the adoption. $88.5 million in capital projects, an increase of nearly $19 million. And we're shooting for that lower $40 million range for the general fund reserves at the end of FY25 with some large looming needs within the city related to public works garage, fire departments, et cetera, and then paying cash for equipment, a strategic initiative we launched a few years ago, and we're executing on that, especially for the general fund, where we're paying cash for our rolling stock, which I consider part of operations. Next slide, please. And then, to put the $332 million budget in perspective, this is just another view of the capital projects broken down by category, the $88.5 million. So $43 million for streets and sidewalks, and that's the $10 million for asphalt and concrete, including $33 million for the state motor fuel tax. And then we have $34.1 million for water, sewer, storm, and water infrastructure. And then $11.4 million dedicated to taking care of what we have, facility maintenance, quality of life, parks and rec. And then another perspective is kind of breaking it down by category from a needs standpoint. So community direct services. So services that every member of the community requires and needs and deserves. $215.1 million for the water, sewer, storm, garbage, public safety, public works projects, et cetera. And then some indirect support, direct support, needs-based, IDA, CDBG, the McLean County Health, JM Scott, and Connect Transit for a total of almost $223 million. And then categorizing the rest of the budget, $27.7 million for Parks and Rec, BCPA, and the arena, so that quality of life. Also an economic impact, though, from those categories as well. $37 million to almost $38 million in administration and economic development, fleet, facilities, large structures to take care of here in the city, and then $43 million for all other categories, insurance, debt funds, TIF, and other transfers. So I've mentioned this many times, with putting the budget together, taking the needs of the community to heart, talking with the directors, having to rely on them for their expertise and the needs. The ultimate goal is to be good stewards of the taxpayers' funds. Next slide, please. And then just finally, to point out the resources to the community that are available for all the details of the budget. 2 books online. There's a table of contents in each one of those books with hyperlinks. So anyone that finds anything of interest, they can just click on those links and go to that section. And then additional resources, we have the video series, the annual report, financial annual report, that's the audit. There's a lot of good information in the back of that. And all of this can be found on the city's website on the finance page. So departments, finance, and then you can see the audit and all the budgetary information. Next slide, please. And then that concludes just a brief overview. So I'll turn it over to the mayor for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will ask anyone from the public that wants to speak to come forward. Individuals will be allowed to speak only once, and we ask that you keep your remarks to 5 minutes or less so that we can get through everyone that desires to speak. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone that is registered to testify?
We don't have anybody registered.
Okay. And then I guess I'm going to move on to council members to see if they have any comments they'd like to make at this point. Okay, thank you. And then we'll close the public hearing at 6:40 and move on to the consent agenda. And is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 7K, which was pulled by the applicant?
I'll move to approve.
I'd like to pull 8L.
8L? Okay, so we are going to, so motion, is that okay with you, Molly, to approve?
Yes.
Motion, okay, without 7K and 7L? Is that 7 or 8? Oh, 8, sorry. Okay, and is there a second?
Second.
Okay, second by Councilmember Bolin. We're doing voice vote, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Councilmember Kearns?
Yes.
Councilmember Bolin?
Yes.
Councilmember Motney?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler?
Yes.
Okay. The item passes. There are no nays to announce. And we're going to move on to item 8L and Councilmember Kearns.
Yeah, thank you. I pulled 8L mainly to focus on one part of it with the parking minimums, and mainly just to highlight it, not to have any major things against it. And I appreciate all the time that staff has put into coming to these decisions to make the recommendations to change the parking minimums. Last week, we heard from community members about how parking minimums can help improve or make conditions more fruitful for affordable housing measures. We've heard tonight and lots of other nights about our housing crisis. So there are tons of unhoused people in our community that have no place to go. There are tons of people who are stacked up within housing that aren't able to move out on their own or to find housing situations that are suitable for them. And so I think that anything that we can do in the community to help move the needle to make conditions better, there's no magic solution to this. But I think that reducing housing minimums is going down the right path. But I also want to continue to push the city, and it sounds like they're moving in that direction to continue to push to see if we can eliminate them entirely. So I don't know. I know Billy Tyus is working on this with his staff and Melissa Hahn and everyone. So I don't know if they can speak to what they're continuing to do, because I'd like to hear from someone about, the thought put into these changes, but then also their commitment to moving to eliminate parking minimums completely.
So thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. We are, as Councilmember Kearns said, looking at our current parking regulations as well as the changes that are before you tonight. Things to consider to allow for additional housing. And so as you'll see with some of those changes, we're allowing for greater distances, for more allowed usage of shared parking facilities. This is going to create better utilization of the parking facilities that we have, as well as reduce the need for specific on-site parking or adjacent parking to allow even for more residential within the downtown and within the D2 district as well. I'm thinking it'll make some improvements. We do believe that making these incremental changes so then we can kind of measure the effects as we are going is going to be the best approach. And so we are continuing to look at with these changes, what's going to come to fruition from that. Are we seeing anything further that, we're going to need to pivot? And so we will as we go and take a look at those. So it is something that we're aware of and continuing to look at.
Great. I appreciate the thought process behind it, and I look forward to you all coming before us again saying that you're ready to eliminate them. So thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you, Melissa. And I'll just add, I do appreciate the incremental approach, because once we're talking about stuff that's solid. Once you do something there, it's hard to kind of change things. So I think it's prudent to try first and then see what the results are. So thank you, appreciate that.
And I move to approve motion or item 8L.
Second.
Okay, so moved by Councilmember Kearns, second by Councilmember Bolin. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Kearns?
Yes.
Councilmember Bolin?
Yes.
Councilmember Motney?
Yes.
Councilmember Becker?
Yes.
Councilmember Hendricks?
Yes.
Councilmember Ward?
Aye.
Councilmember Lee?
Yes.
Councilmember Crumpler?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The item passes, no nays to announce. And we're going to move on to item 9A on the regular agenda, presentation of the Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department's 2024 summer offerings and annual services as requested by the Parks and Recreation Department and the Administration Department. And I'm going to turn it over to City Manager Gleason for some introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and to the community. We thought that we would showcase the Parks and Recreation Department this evening. This is a department that reports to Deputy City Manager Billy Tyus, but I've got opening comments this evening in his absence. This is a department, and we have a lot of departments at the City of Bloomington that are just so impressive. But the two men that are going to present tonight, Eric Veal and Dave Lamb, the director and the assistant director, they've been longtime city employees, came up through the ranks, and just have done an amazing job with some of the things that have been handed to both of you over the last couple of years. You've not only cleaned things up, you've made them, far better than they ever were. And you've got an amazing staff. I know that some are here, and he's probably going to do this to you, but I'm going to also. Any of the Parks and Rec staff, please stand up. You're probably going to have to do that twice, but it is what it is. And but truly, some amazing hires and some amazing promotions. And we thought that, again, we would take this evening to showcase everything that our Parks and Recreation Department do. Eric?
Thank you, City Manager Gleason. Catherine, if you could please start the video.
The Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department exists to maintain and enhance the quality of life for all citizens of Bloomington by providing park, recreation, and leisure opportunities through organized programs and by acquiring, developing, maintaining, preserving, and enhancing recreation areas, open spaces, and facilities in the most cost-efficient manner. We create community through people, parks, and programs. The Parks and Recreation Department is made up of 5 divisions: Administration, Golf, Miller Park Zoo, Recreation, and Parks. The Parks and Recreation Department is ready for summer 2024. Residents can register on Wednesday, April 10th, and non-residents can register on Wednesday, April 17th for programs, classes, and events. And notice, O'Neill Aquatic Center opens Memorial Day weekend. Pool passes are on sale May 1st.
Excellent. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Mayor, Council, and City Manager, for us to be here tonight to present to you about all of the great services and offerings of our Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department. Tonight, I will highlight the amazing effort that one team of people who are talented, hardworking, and dedicated to several specialized professions in one department can create for community. Our summer guide is now online, and we believe there are opportunities for all to participate, and create memories in landscape parks or at the new Miller Park Route 66 sign and EV charging station along Old Route 66. Bloomington Parks and Rec offers programs and services for all ages and abilities in the community and beyond, and more amenities will open in 2024 after years of preparation, design, and construction. Yearly programs will also be back for both tradition, like the Turkey Trot, and education, like swim lessons and safe sitter classes. Department attendance numbers have returned post-COVID, and some areas are seeing significant growth, especially golf. It's an exciting time to be able to lead this Bloomington Parks and Recreation team, and I thank Council and Administration for your support. We do have our foot on the gas with projects, and we are catching up on deferred maintenance. The fruits of our labor are being noticed, and it is rewarding both internally for our 60 full-time staff and externally for the community. Tonight, this presentation will review through imagery the diversity of services that we offer between the 5 aforementioned divisions. So let's start with Parks and Rec Administration, who is the support arm for all budgeting, planning, staffing, part of the rentals, and vision for the future. And as you can see on the screen, one of the divisions in admin is facility rentals. We have quite a variety there. We have the Miller Park Pavilion on the left. We have the former Girl Scout cabin in the middle, which we now call Hike Haven. And we have our Tipton Park shelter right there on the right. The beauty of this is, between all of these facilities, we host weddings, proms, birthdays, reunions, cookouts, sports, music, and more. Next slide, please. On to the golf division. We have 3 incredible municipal courses. Prairie Vista is our mainstay. And the beauty of that is that's where we host most of our outings throughout the year. And who attends a lot of those outings? Community members. And what does it support? The community when they're doing fundraisers. Our other older course, but yet a very exciting one, who used to be a brewery, Highland Park, is where I grew up playing golf. And it was a lot easier back then because the trees weren't quite as big. But our greenskeepers take great care of all of our courses, and especially Highland, as it's the older one. The Den at Fox Creek is our signature Arnold Palmer course, and it was designed and played by Arnold Palmer himself. It is not just a regional destination, it's a state destination, and it even reaches to other states outside of the area. We do want to thank you for the 2 new fleets of golf carts that you have approved in this last fiscal year to help us achieve our continued mission of growing the golf game. Also, we are home to 6 area high school teams, and as noted, we are host to 2 golf simulators that we operate throughout the year. And I want to note that our team purchased the items to build these and built them in-house, saving money. Next slide, please. We also host 19 junior golf tournaments, and we even have college teams come from up north, downstate in the spring to practice at our courses during the warmer spring. The most amazing thing last year with those was we increased 5,700 rounds of golf played. Part of that is due to our Club Profit software, where you used to have to phone it in to get a tee time, but now you actually use your phone to reserve a tee time. And we may have a new app coming soon that we can increase our efficiency and services for the customer. Next slide, please. Miller Park Zoo is engaging our community through conservation, education, and fun. The prominent feature that you see on this is our carousel, and that is a very popular item, and unfortunately, it's going to go away. But don't worry, it's going to come back. The Miller Park Zoological Society is funding the restoration of our wonderful carousel over a 6 to 8 month period, and then it will come back and be put back on site. Items you don't see on this slide, which are extremely important, are our education programs. We have an amazing junior zookeeper program with over 50 years of service to this community, and I was actually one of them a long time ago. Events like Spooktacular, Wild Lights, and the Stampede, which just happened a few weeks ago actually, had the highest participant turnout ever. Speaking of that, in February at Free Fridays, we had 4,000 visitors this year, probably because the weather was pretty nice. But our team is doing a great job. Miller Park also joined the Museums for All, and we have already had 100 families come through to visit the zoo because of this new option. And finally, AZA, we're remediating several years of issues in a very short time frame to continue to serve this community at the highest level moving forward. Next slide, please. We already mentioned the Miller Park Zoological Society, as they are the fundraising arm, and they do great service for our zoo. The Ewing Zoo Foundation is also a fundraising arm that helped contribute to the South American habitat. The USDA, if you're not aware, is the governing body that decides if you can continue to keep your zoo open, so we have to pass inspection on that every year. But our higher level is the AZA that we're going to go for accreditation again this fall and have a team on site this year. So I do appreciate all of the hard work that the zoo is doing and the people in other divisions in our department that are assisting with them as well. Next slide, please. The Recreation Division has quite a bit of diversity in it, so we're going to start with the Bloomington Ice Center. We host Learn to Skate, Stick and Puck, Open Skates, holiday-themed events. We partner with several local and figure skating associations for education, inclusion, recreation, and competition all the way up to the college level. As you can see on the logos below, those are all the people that we partner with in addition to our own programming. We provide a full-service skate rental and skate sharpening, and in 2023, we had 94,000 participants, and that does not include the arena side. This is just the Bloomington Ice Center. So we're very proud of that. Next slide, please. SOAR, this is a great program that has also been around for a long time. We partner with the town of Normal. They are more of a financial component to us, and we are the actual piece that has the staff that runs this program. In the last year, we have just gained another certified therapeutic recreation specialist so that we now have 2 on staff for the first time ever. We have added 10 new programs in the past year, and our inclusion numbers have doubled since summer of 2023. Because of that, we have expanded program sizes to reflect the increased interest from current and new participants. And if you feel like you need to get out, we have the Respect Run coming up in April. Next slide. Athletics. I love this picture. It shows where we really start with our Parks and Recreation programmings at a younger age. Some of these kids start at 3 years old, and while they may go through high school, they typically don't stay with us that long because they move on to other school programs. But we have 23 fields where we use for baseball and softball teams with over 1,200 participants where they play and practice. We help facilitate multiple high schools and collegiate club games and tournaments at O'Neill and McGraw Parks. We expect around 400 registered participants to enjoy our tennis program this summer in our newly resurfaced McGraw Park, and our current co-ed volleyball team features 43 teams. Next slide, please. Well, this is going to be the big hit this summer, we hope, and we all know that it will. The aquatics division isn't just the O'Neill Aquatic Center that's opening. It's the holiday pool, which has been our mainstay while we had O'Neill Park shut down. We do have lessons in swim, and we'll have a bunch more events going on, but we will open our 4th splash pad. And then the aquatics division also oversees paddle boats at Miller Park Lake. Next slide, please. You already know most of this information, but I'm going to repeat it because it's very important. We're going to open our first zero-depth leisure pool with accessible experience, with a 1,000-person capacity, with a 30-foot tall slide, with a lazy river, with locker rooms and family changing, and I can go on, concessions and more. This is going to be an excellent rejuvenation to a tiring park on the west side of Bloomington for the citizens of Bloomington and beyond. Next slide. Summer day camp, this is one of my favorites as I had the opportunity to run one of these at another facility a long time ago. The kids are great, and we have 90 participants for each 8-week session. We employ 20 high school and college-age students as counselors, and they have great opportunities to learn fishing, conservation, fire safety, and law enforcement. When looking at the pictures on the upper left, it's the Illinois Shakespeare Foundation is putting on a show for the kids. The lower middle and left is when the Bloomington Police Department was out there. We also had a Bloomington Fire Department Day. And one of the most unique things that was a benefit last year was the Prairie Land Anglers, which is a local club, decided to help out with some fishing, and they ended up staying. And they were there almost every single day. And it was like grandpas and grandmas helping out with the kids during our program as volunteers, which was a great social event for everyone. Next slide. Miller Park Adult Center. If you don't know, on the lower level of the Miller Park Pavilion is where we have our Miller Park Adult Center. It's newly renovated, and we are trying to attract as many people as we can to more of a social environment. In truth, we are not the Ark. We aren't playing pickleball in there because it's not that type of facility. But we just had our open house where we did talk about all our programs and services, and we invited people in to see what we have. Next slide, please. Now we transition to a combination of both items. The O'Neill Skate Park is open, even though the rest of the project has not yet been completed. American Ramp Company, who is created by skaters themselves, built this, and it is for both beginner and advanced. While it is not the largest skate park in the world, we are going to add more to it on more of a flat land off to the side. It is a challenging place where anyone can come when it's open to the public. The Recreation Division can help out foster new programs with events with the local skate community once we get the entire park up and running. Next slide, please. 4th of July in Miller Park is a signature Parks and Recreation event. Do we do it alone? No. Police, fire, public works. This is a city event, but Parks and Rec gets the pleasure of being the host. We have added in a car show, which has taken off for the last few years. The gentleman in the middle with the grill, he's there every single year, and I almost took a few off of his plate there, but he was really nice to talk to, and I don't know how many people he cooks for, but there's a lot he makes every day. The fireworks, of course, for those of you council members who have had the pleasure of watching it from the pavilion, it's an incredible experience with them going off over the lake. And once again, this is one of the highlights of my personal year and one of the biggest events that Parks and Recreation does. So now I would like to turn it over to Mr. Dave Lamb.
Thank you, Director Veal. Next slide, please, Catherine. The city's park system consists of 42 parks and 36 miles of Constitution Trail. 19 of these parks have paved paths that that have direct connections to the Constitution Trail. Within these 42 parks, there are 36 playgrounds and 8 lakes. The city's first park was Franklin Park, which was established in the late 1880s. Next slide, please, Catherine. Harmony Park, this is one of our jewels of our system. This is at Rolling Brook Park. It's Harmony Park Playground at Rolling Brook Park. Harmony Park is the only fully inclusive playground in McLean County and was a collaborative between local public and private entities. The park has been very popular and well received by the community. All of the playgrounds within our system are installed, inspected, and repaired in-house by our certified playground safety inspectors. Next slide, please. The city's forestry program operates out of the Parks and Recreation Department. We have approximately 30,000 trees on public property within the city. We provide 24/7, 365 storm damage response to clear roads and right-of-ways safely and promptly to ensure the EMS and other services can still be provided to our citizens during a storm event. We take great pride in that. We're also proud to say that this is our 37th year as a Tree City USA designation from the National Arbor Day Foundation. The requirements to qualify as a Tree City USA include an active tree planting program, expenditures of at least $2 per capita annually on forestry, a tree board or city forester, and an Arbor Day proclamation and ceremony, which all of you are welcome to attend. There'll be more about that in a future council meeting. The picture in the lower right corner is the Arbor Day planting and ceremony last year at Trinity Lutheran School. In addition to the Tree City USA designation, we have received the Tree City USA Growth Award the last 2 years, and this is indicating an exceptional industry-leading forestry program. Only 15% of Tree City USA communities nationwide received the Growth Award. We plant approximately 500 trees a year, focusing on replacement trees, new subdivisions, and identifying canopy gaps in the older parts of town. This successional tree planting program will ensure Bloomington continues to be a community that has a multi-generational urban forest for its citizens. Next slide, please. The past several years, we have partnered with the Illinois Arborists Association as a host city to provide municipal training to our staff and to staff from other communities around the state. We currently have 4 International Society of Arboriculture certified arborists on staff, and we are consistently recognized as an industry leader in urban forestry in Illinois. Pictures there are of a tree over a house on West Grove in Bloomington. It had the lead going over the house was cracked. The whole tree was compromised and we had to remove it. We did that during this training program to work on some new techniques at the same time as the professional trainers were there with us. That's our staff there in those pictures, along with professionals from other communities working together and learning new forestry techniques in a real life situation. Next slide, please. As I mentioned, we have over 30,000 street trees under management, but 15,000 of these are inventoried in a system called Tree Keeper 8. This system is available to view by the public, and it allows the citizens to view the trees throughout the community on an interactive mapping platform. We are currently adding to this and updating it, but this can be accessed through the Parks and Recreation Department website. Tree Keeper has provided us with a streamlined work order process, which provides better services for our residents and improve efficiency in the field. Next slide, please, Catherine. Okay, this is not the fire department. Pictured here is our parks team professionally administering a prescribed burn in one of our prairies. This prescribed burning program started in 2004 at Tipton Park, and we currently have native prairie in 11 of our parks, consisting of 185 acres. In addition to the parks, we work with Water Department to administer burns at Lake Bloomington and Evergreen Lake Dam. We currently have 2 State of Illinois certified burn managers on staff, and we are one of the few municipalities within the state that administers prescribed burning in-house. The purpose of prescribed burning is to mimic the natural disturbances to the prairie and perpetuate the prairie plants and communities. Basically, that means these prairie plants would not exist without fire. In addition, prescribed fire is low-cost and natural way to control invasive species and noxious weeds. And it's pretty cool and fun to watch, too. Next slide, please. Our horticulture division, which is the one I started with the city, handles all of our flower planting, landscaping, and beautification within the city. In cooperation with the Economic Development Department, we manage all the plantings and beautification of downtown Bloomington. Over the past several years, you may have noticed we've been working on beautifying the right-of-way on the corner of Route 9 and Veterans Parkway for the community since it's a major intersection. This includes the City of Bloomington monument sign, and we are looking forward to unveiling our new City of Bloomington chevron-style flower beds this spring. Next slide, please. Our mowing program consists of 1,200 acres within 42 parks, but also 158 right-of-way locations. These right-of-way locations are roadsides, ditches, creek banks, parkways, and basins throughout the city. This totals 200 specific locations that we mow, and each location gets a mowing about 30 times a year. This is accomplished in our park maintenance division by six different mowing crews administered by our park maintenance division. Next slide, please. Sweeney Park. We're extremely excited to unveil Sweeney Park to the community this summer. This park is on the site of the old Sweeney Farm in East Bloomington, which is now along Pamela Drive. This park was 100% constructed in-house by our parks construction team. You can see there on the left that grain bin. Well, that's not just any old grain bin roof in the photo. That's the original roof of the original grain bin from the original Sweeney Farm. This was donated by the Sweeney family to the city and is now the roof of the shelter at Sweeney Park. We're happy to be able to provide this historic and unique shelter to the community as part of Sweeney Park. At this time, I would like the staff to stand up again, please. I know Mr. Gleason already said that, but please stand up again and be acknowledged. It's a pleasure to work with the dedicated work for and with the dedicated professionals in our department. All 5 of our divisions are represented here tonight. I would also like to recognize my predecessor, Mose Rickey. I think he's in the back there, current Director of Public Works, for his substantial contribution to many of the projects that we showed here tonight, specifically O'Neill Aquatic Center and the improvements at the zoo. At this time, I'd like to turn it back over to Director Veal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave, and we're almost done. But we do want to recognize that we don't just randomly hire people that are very intelligent and very dedicated to do these jobs. We actually are governed by other bodies as well. Each division has their governing bodies, but overall we look to the NRPA, which is the National Recreation and Parks Association. At the state level, we look at the Illinois IPRA, which is Parks and Recreation. We were fortunate enough just about 3 weeks ago, I think, to have the brand new CEO come through town and visit the new water park and also our Miller Park area. And that's not common since they are based out of the Chicago area, but she was really pleased and wanted us to keep in communication with her. In the region, we have the Central Illinois Recreation Council for Leisure Experience. They bring in speakers to help educate people downstate because it's harder to get up to travel up north. And I get the pleasure of working with the Central Illinois Director Roundtable, which is all the regional directors. Basically what it is an opportunity to get together and share insight and have brainstorming sessions and solve problems for other people, or you can ask your problem and then help get that solved. So I want to recognize that, and there are many other of those organizations as well, but those are the main ones that we focus on. So in the end, next slide please. I hope that everyone learned something new tonight. You may know what our department does. I'm sure you have our guide, which we have right here, and I hope you don't really throw all the balls at me later, but if you do, it's okay, because that's what we do in recreation, play a little dodgeball. It's a pleasure for me to serve you and I think the staff as well, I see one coming, and to serve the city of Bloomington and the Bloomington Parks and Recreation Department. I really do enjoy coming to work. Thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you, Eric, and let's see if we have questions. So Councilmember Kearns and Montney.
I
start with?
just had a really quick question, but before that, I just am I think I've been I've put it into the back of my brain, because we couldn't do O'Neill Pool last year, but I'm so excited. I spent a lot of summers I lived nearby, so very excited about O'Neill Pool being upgraded and brought back to life. So very excited about that. But then I also started thinking, and this is, sorry, I'm using public time for a personal question, but maybe it'll benefit others. I want to plant a tree in my front yard, and I know that the city used to have a preferred tree list, and then so I see here that it still says, because I think I remember seeing it before, that it's in the process of being updated. Do you have an update on?
We do have, thank you for the question. We do have a preferred urban tree planting list that we can get to you. We are in the process of updating that on our website for everybody, but we also have an additional list that I can make available.
Okay,
so,
great.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And can you say why preferred?
Sure. These are preferred trees because they have shown through the years consistency of growing in the urban environment. They can handle the heat, the stress, compacted growing conditions, salt, things like that. So these trees are ones that have been selected in the industry. They don't tap into the sewer system and stuff like that. So they're the best choice for a yard or urban tree. We try to plant those every chance we get.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Montney.
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you to you both, Dave and Eric, and to your staff. Looking at your pictures and just reflecting on the 23 years that I've lived in this community, and even prior to living here, coming here for events, retirements at Miller Park, wedding receptions there. My own son, I can see through every one of your programs during his time growing up, and who would have known at 4 years old walking into the Pepsi Ice Center be greeted by the late Joe Olson and by Coach Madeline Brooks, that for the next 14 years, I would park there and go to that building, and it just was so meaningful. All of your programs, the work that you do, the amenities that you provide are felt by everyone in this community, and it really is awesome. And a differentiator for this community. And I just want you and your team to know how much I appreciate it, how much it's enriched my life, and certainly, the ability to raise a child here, going through so many of your programs. Thank you very much.
And thank you on behalf of our staff.
Thank you. Councilmember Ward.
Yeah, I would like to echo how excited I am about O'Neill Park and Pool coming to fruition this year. I think it's really a wonderful thing for the entire community, but it really speaks to some commitment to the west side of the community, that it is going to be available to people within walking distance who maybe otherwise don't have the resources to get to other places. So I'm really excited about that. I'm wondering along those lines if there's anything that you can give us by way of an update about, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, about the scholarship fund for O'Neill Park and Pool that was created. Where do things stand with that?
Well, that is a great question. If you're referring to the one with the Boys and Girls Club, I have a meeting with Tony Morstatter, and I wasn't able to get the information tonight. So I will give you an update later this week, I hope. Our internal scholarship program, we have $5,000 for our annual Parks and Recreation programs outside of the O'Neill Pool Aquatic Center, and then we have another $5,000 set aside inside. So no matter whatever happens with the other funds, we will be able to work and help out people that need. The other thing that we did recently, and it is not complete yet, we're in the works, is we're looking at a PayPal app. Thank you to the finance department, Mr. Scott Rathman. I don't know if you know we're doing that. And we are in the test mode right now, and if that succeeds, that will be another boom, not just for our department as a whole, but we can target to different areas. And I think the O'Neill Pool will be one that will really take off.
And just as a reminder, because this was something that we talked about several years ago when we were still very much in the planning stages for O'Neill Pool, the splash pad is outside of the fence, basically. So that's going to be open to the public all the time. When will it open?
As far as I know, it'll open at the same time as the pool, but it will have the opportunity in future years to stay open longer after the pool would close and then open earlier. This year, it will just begin coinciding with the pool because the project gets turned over from the construction company all at one time.
And then one last thing, not to do with O'Neill, but the city's free mulch, does that come under the forestry area? And can you say a word or two about that? Because I expect people are looking for that
Sure thing.
about now.
Thank you for that question, and I think, I do believe we made a social media post about that. If we haven't, we do have free mulch available at our Forest Park Wood Utilization Area. You're welcome to come and get whatever you need. All we ask is you don't use it for commercial jobs or go try to resell it or anything like that. That yard's open between 7 and 3 every day of the week, even weekends, so as we're staffed. So welcome to come down and get mulch as you'd like. Thank you for mentioning that. I appreciate it.
Okay, Councilmember Lee.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation and everything that you guys do. I have a youngest son that's taken an interest in skateboarding, and I want to thank you for your comments about the skateboard park not being done. I remember Max, who's a owner of the skateboard shop in downtown Normal, came and gave us some of his thoughts at a council meeting a couple weeks ago. And I think he's going to be very excited to hear that you have future plans to expand it. So thank you.
I just want to add to that real quick, if you don't mind. So the funds that we spent were the maximum amount we could get for the funds that we got to have a concrete bowl. So we put together a really quality skate park. Like you said, we do plan to add more to it, but we got to finish the pool and then we'll get back to that. Thank you.
Okay, well, there are no other questions, but I wanted to just kind of share some thoughts. First of all, as you know, parks people, I was expecting you guys to show up in tank tops or a little disappointed in you showing up in suits, but but I just wanted to highlight it, and it's been said before, but I think it's important to repeat, how much you do for the community. I really see your division as one, because the programs that you provide helps to strengthen the community, because people have an opportunity to get together and really congregate and talk. I think about a park, for example. To me, a park is like the living room of a neighborhood, of the community, because without it, people don't necessarily interact that much. There's so many friendships that are made between, young children and parents and things like that just by going to a park. So I think it's a very important thing. I also, I'm also very happy, I see the pictures of kids, having fun. I think that is a very important thing. That's the kind of thing that makes them want to stay in the community and then also raise a family in the community. So I think it's a very important thing that you do. Another thing that I wanted to say too is that we have I really love what we do in terms of making our facilities more accessible for people, because what it does, it really communicates thoughtfulness about what we do. We think about everyone. We want everyone to be able to enjoy what we do. And when we do that, we also in turn make the rest of the community even more thoughtful. So I think that really spreads across the whole community, and I think that it's a very important thing that you do. It's so much fun to be able to see people, enjoy the programs with SOAR, and people will be able to enjoy O'Neill Pool as well, just like everyone. And it also teaches people who have different abilities to interact with one another. So I just wanted to say that I think you guys do tremendous work from that, but also keeping the community beautiful, even through the COVID years and how challenging it was with staffing and places you couldn't get into, but yet this is a consistent comment that I hear about the community, how much it is beautiful. Even my kids, you know how kids are. Initially they all look to go elsewhere. Everybody wants to go to college elsewhere. Everybody wants to go somewhere else and live somewhere else. But I've heard them make comments, a number of times and said, Bloomington is a nice place to be, and I could see myself living here, and they've had a chance to live other places, recently, and they recognize, they see the difference of what we have in the community. So I really want to thank you for all of that. Thank you. All right, awesome. I think with that, we are going to move on to the finance director's report. He might come up and tell us about that whole PayPal thing.
For the community, as Scott's coming up to the podium, this is our monthly finance director's report. And as we're wrapping up or getting down the home stretch of FY24. Scott.
Thank you, City Manager, Mayor, Council. It's a tough act to follow, the excitement of the Parks Department. Our Budget Manager, Chris Tomlin, he has the pleasure of going out and meeting with all the department heads during the month. I get familiar with everything going on during budget cycle, but those guys are fun, but they outdressed me tonight. I walked in here and they both had ties on and I didn't, so we'll see if I'm going to move a decimal point on them, on their budgets. So, anyway, sorry. So tonight we'll be discussing the February financial summary. We're 10 months into FY24, 83% of the way, but as I remind the community and council, we have many revenue categories that lag that cycle. We have actually 4 months remaining for sales tax. So, we're narrowing down the projection. We're getting some good visibility, some consistency in the numbers, but, things are still in motion. It's still trending well. Next slide, please. So major tax revenues. Again, the same story. I'm just going to jump down to the bottom first. $7.9 million ahead, year-to-date positive variance. We have a couple of categories that are lagging. Utility tax, I think we over-budgeted that for the year. We had some price increases that were in effect last year, so we're slightly under for that. Local use tax, that's the voluntary, sales taxes that are contributed by mostly corporations around the state that are buying outside, that are buying from smaller vendors typically our large online retail vendors. We're getting our home roll on those. So that's down a little bit, but that's just $18,000. And then franchise tax, these are arrangements we have with Ameren, Corn Belt, Comcast, and Metronet. The Comcast, Metronet are down a little bit. So I don't know if that's a trending in, that streaming services online. But, we'll be watching that, but that's not a material number. So most of our material categories are still trending very well. Draw the council and the mayors and the community's attention to, some of the items that's been in the press related to the state budget, the grocery tax, 1% reduction that the governor is talking about. Again, this is one of those double-edged sword kind of things. It would be a benefit to our residents, but, that would have a $2.5 to $3 million impact to the city's revenues. So we'll be watching that, as we go into FY25. That might be something that, we're going to have to address, going to that next fiscal year. But other than that, things are still trending well. We do have I wanted to point out The replacement tax, the PPRT, that line item, if you look at the prior year-to-date variance, you're going to see that large plus $1 million reduction. So what had occurred was the Department of Revenue was over-allocating PPRT. They announced that they were going to be holding back. It's actually been referenced as a clawback, approximately 38%. This is a 27% reduction for us, but due to our conservative budgeting, we did not budget FY24 at that higher rate. You can see we were at $3.8 million year-to-date through February last year, but we only budgeted $3 million for FY24. So even though that clawback is going into effect, we're still have a positive variance in that line item. Next slide, please. So the next two exhibits are the income statement for the general fund, the revenue slide here. Just a couple of slight adjustments to the projected year-end column from last month. We are at that. I'll talk about the taxes first. It's $109 million versus a $99.8 million budget. So that's we're projecting about a $9.4 million, close to $10 million positive variance related to that. Charges for services we've taken down just a little bit. The ambulance activity, we're keeping an eye on that. That's even though we've been doing the GMET program for a couple of years now, it's still something that varies. We're using a new billing provider, so we've adjusted that down by about $1 million. Over on the left side, the budget column, a concept that I've talked about. We budget a balanced budget. We show use of reserves as part of a revenue stream. But truly, those aren't current year revenues. So if you take out the $17.3 million of use of reserves, that shows a realized actual revenue of $125.6 versus our $135.6 million that you're seeing projected. So we are looking to come in about $10 million over in revenues. Most of that, again, related to taxes, and then we have some ups and downs in the other categories. Next slide, please. Expenditures. Projected year-end, we adjusted one line item. I wanted to highlight to council and the community the transfers out. This is our subsidies to our other funds. In FY24, we have $5 million budgeted for the arena rooftop units. Those bids are coming in much higher than the $5 million. So at this point in time, we have an additional $1.7 million showing in that transfer out projection as an additional subsidy need for the arena for those rooftop units. So a $5 million budget is looking like it's going to be closer to $6.7 million. So the impact of that from a reserve standpoint, last month we were showing in the low $50 million range, and that projected year-end, the very bottom number. This year we're showing the $48.4 million, still a very healthy reserve number, but those additional subsidies, some of our funds needing subsidies from the general fund related to capital expenditures. Next slide, please. The enterprise summary page. Two things I'll highlight here. The total year-to-date gain loss, actually we got that in red, it should be in black, but for solid waste. So this is the one I like to highlight, just the way we present our budgetary numbers. The commitments / POs, those are landfill fees, et cetera, that are part of the year-end or the beginning of the year agreements. That's the part of that hasn't been realized in expenditures yet. So that starts as a very high number, and we show solid waste in the red at the beginning of the year, and then as we get through the year and realize revenues, we attain a positive balance. Solid waste is another fund. On an operational basis, it's a break-even fund. It struggles a little bit to cover its equipment needs. It doesn't have capital projects, but it is equipment needs. And then we highlighted golf last month. You can see that the actual year-to-date for golf is about $2.6 million, so that's already above their total budget for the year of $2.56 million. Next slide, please. The Arena Fund. The Arena Fund is the fund we are going to highlight for tonight. There will be a full review of the Arena Fund coming soon, a deeper dive. So this will be a high-level financial review. This is somewhat of a transition year with the standing up of the entertainment division. From a financial standpoint, it's been a a tremendous success. Revenues are well above the prior year. And so, going through and finalizing this year will give us, a good bearing as to where we're going to head into the years to come. But so far, it's looking very positive. So I just wanted to kind of run down each one of the line items here. Use of reserves. Oh, let me step back. The Arena Fund, there are two divisions. So it's one combined financial fund, but we split the accounting between the facility, that's just the building and the maintenance, and then the entertainment side. So in the past, that would have been under the guidance of the outsourced management company. So we have the facility and the entertainment division. From a reporting standpoint, we typically report the fund in total, and then we show the entertainment side independently. So that's what we're going to review tonight. So this is the combined income statement, the revenue side first for the facility side. So use of reserves, $3 million. So we had $2 million that we were going to utilize for the rooftop units, and then transfer in $3 million this current fiscal year from the general fund as a subsidy. So that general fund down at the bottom, that transfer in will be going up by $1.7 million, given council's authorization of that project. $1.8 million in taxes. So a portion of sales taxes that were approved back in 2009 to help fund the bond comes in at the 1.856. There's an exact expenditure when we get to that side. You won't see the number because it's buried within some others, but there's 1.856 in bond debt service related to those tax revenues. Charges for services are entirely related to the entertainment division, and we'll get to that in a moment. Investment income, and then the transfers in related to the subsidy. Next slide, please. So the expenditure side. The Arena Fund in general has a subsidy need of about $500,000 to $1.5 million annually. And that really varies depending on what the needs of the facility side, the maintenance goes. I didn't mention, but we have about $350,000 budgeted for entertainment division loss for FY24. For the coming year, it's down to about $140,000. So it's coming down hopefully year to year, but there's still that component of that expenditures that's related to the entertainment side. So salaries and benefits, we have almost all of that is related to the entertainment division and event expenditures. $5 million in capital expenditures, $5 million for the rooftop units, and then we have some equipment expense, ribbon boards, a scoreboard, et cetera, that we put on a lease. And then the transfer out, this is where the bond payment is. So about 1.8 million of the transfer out is related to the bond payments. So again, to summarize the full fund, there's about $500,000 to $1.5 million need for that fund every year, $350,000 for the entertainment division, the rest for the maintenance side. Next slide, please. So this is just the entertainment division only. It's part of the full budget that we just went through. So charges for services, we've had a budget of $3.3 million. We're at $2.9 million year to date. To put that in perspective, in FY23, we were at $869,000. So we tripled the revenue year to date. Just going down to the bottom on the left side, we don't have the net, but we have $3.3 million in revised budget for revenues, $3.7 million in expense. So that's the budgeted loss of about $355,000. You can see in the current activity right now we're about a $393,000 loss year to date. But the events, the wintertime is when most of the events occur for the arena, so we're hoping to maintain and come in at budget. Commodities, let me go through the expenditures. Contractuals, I already mentioned at $1.9 million, primarily event-driven. Commodities, we have $214,000, that's cost of goods sold, COGS, so that's your food and beverage and things for concessions. And then all of the utilities for the entire building are paid out of the entertainment division. This was something that was put into practice back when we had the management company, so we've maintained that for some consistency. That is being discussed, whether or not we should kind of split those between the facility and the entertainment side. For right now, we have $362,000 in utility expense hitting the entertainment division. So depending on how you look at that, the profit loss for the entertainment division could be somewhat adjusted. two more comments, and I know I was a little all over the board with this. Arena discussion is always complicated with the two divisions. We have approximately, from a bond standpoint, about $21.5 million in arena bonds still outstanding. I know that's a big topic. They mature in 2035. There's still about $1.2 million for the ice side of that structure. The arena side, both bonds are callable at this point in time, and we're working with our financial advisor to kind of monitor interest rates. Right now, it wouldn't really be that beneficial to refund those, but we are looking at those to see the refundability. And part of the bonds, and not to get down too far into the weeds, but are taxable bonds versus tax exempt, and we're looking, since we're managing it internally now, whether or not we can convert those to a tax exempt when we refund those bonds and save some money that way as well. And next slide, please. And once, as we always mention, all this information is available online. Just go to cblm.org and departments and finance, and all that information is there. So, sorry, I kind of bounced around there, but take any questions or comments. It's fine.
Okay. Do we have any questions, comments? Councilman Ahmadi?
First of all, thank you very much for all these monthly reports that you do, and the deep dive on the arena was very helpful. Just a couple questions came to mind. If you look at pre-COVID, say maybe the year 2019, when the entertainment arena management was outsourced, what do those financials look like compared to the strides that have been made today and where things are today?
I can do this from memory from a net standpoint. Pre-COVID, the usual loss before we renegotiated the contract with the previous management company was in the $500,000 to $700,000 range, and then when we renegotiated the contract, it went down to $350,000. So the loss was greater on an overall basis pre-COVID than it is now.
Okay. And as you look in other locations to kind of benchmark, to kind of understand where should we be, where could we be, and maybe we're in the best shape that we could be in. I don't know, I'm not buying or selling on that, but are there any other municipal-owned arenas out there that you kind of look at, either aspirationally or to kind of understand in comparison, where are we benchmarking against them? Is there any opportunity for learning there if any of them are in the black?
I think that's part of what will be covered, Tim, if you want to jump in here too, during the additional review that Anthony Nelson will provide, because I know Anthony does look at other venues and see what kind of comparisons, especially from a marketing standpoint and positioning, and how we compete within those, but I don't have that information.
When that is shared, if there could be also just some focus on kind of the bottom line, I mean, not just, the competitiveness from a marketing standpoint, but really kind of understanding the financial performance on a relative basis, that would be great. I would love to learn more about that. And I really do appreciate, again, you taking the time to go through these details tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no other question, then we're going to move on to City Manager's report. Discussion, sorry.
We're going to be waiting a while if it's a deputy city manager report.
Right.
So, no, just we've got a quick video, and Catherine, if you would, go ahead and start that.
The spirit of Easter is alive and well in downtown Bloomington. Join us for two exciting events sure to make your Easter season memorable. On March 30th, starting at 10 a.m., we invite you to Eggs on the Square, a delightful celebration for the whole family. Watch as children's faces light up with joy during our egg hunt scattered across the square. But the Easter fun doesn't stop there. On April 5th, join us for our First Friday event, Hop and Shop, from 5 to 8 p.m. Immerse yourself in the vibrant energy of downtown Bloomington as you explore our eclectic mix of shops, galleries, and eateries. Discover unique gifts, exquisite art pieces, and delicious treats. Whether you're searching for Easter eggs or exploring the wonders of our local businesses, Bloomington's downtown has something special in store for everyone this Easter season.
Thank you all very much. I do not have anything to share tonight. I think I said enough. Councilmember Crumpler.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one comment. I know some of you have read the McLean County Housing Coalition update of its previous report. It was reported by WGLT this morning. And the following concerns were detailed through a presentation of quantitative data: tight rental market, wage stagnation versus cost of living, cyclical systemic barriers, social and cultural barriers, and a lack of emergency shelters in our community. And none of these are new. You know, we've talked about them in this group. We've heard public comment in various council meetings. I just wanted to mention I was troubled by Appendix B, in which District 87 community agencies provided narratives of individual families who have struggled to access affordable housing. And particularly those cases reported by the Immigration Project were of a particular concern. And I want to say I understand that many of our landlords in this community are responsible business owners, and I want to commend them for that. However, some of these stories indicate practices of fraud, overcharging for basic services, and exploiting individuals and their families through demands for high rent. And I just want to say publicly that I find that unacceptable. We must do better if we want to be a welcoming committee, not just call ourselves one. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, it looks like we don't have any other comments, so we're going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by
Second.
Councilmember Bolin, and who seconded? Oh, Councilmember Hendricks, okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, we will see you in a couple weeks. If egg hunts are your thing, happy hunting.